Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and I'm joined with Connor.
Hey everyone.
We're going to talk about Legends of Tomorrow, episode 6 of season 1. It's called Star City 2046. Full spoilers for the episode, as always, on this show. And let's get into it. So, this was okay.
I didn't enjoy this anywhere near as much as I thought I was gonna.
Nah, it was thoroughly okay. Not
Yeah.
bad, but not particularly good either. I think for me, the standout problems I had with this one was, I think, because it was focusing so much on Arrow stuff, it carried a lot of baggage into it that I really didn't care for.
It does, yeah, and it just feels like this is where Arrow is heading, the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Because this is Deathstroke, which we've had, and it's the city been taken over, which we got, I believe, in season 3 when
Yeah.
Oliver was dead for a bit. It's just kind of mashed those two together and gone, yeah, let's throw it 30 years in the future. I'll do.
It kind of
And the family issues are still there.
shows just how predictable Arrow is.
It really does.
Yeah, apart from just that in general, though, there was a lot of things that felt off about it. One, I thought the old age stuff on Oliver was a bit weird and didn't quite
The
work.
the beard looked a bit weird. The hair was too short, like it needed to be longer.
Yeah, yeah.
And the face makeup in general just looked a bit off.
And then on top of that, he was still fighting very good for a man who has to at least be in his mid-60s by this point.
Oh, well, he's what, about 35
Yeah, so he'd
now?
be 65 because it's
It'll be 65. Yeah.
so he's only 30 years. So that's why at least I was happy it didn't turn out to be actually Slade who was Deathstroke, because he'd be in his 70s, I think, because he's a bit older.
Yeah, but he had the Mirakuru stuff.
I suppose,
there,
yeah,
and that was-
magic fiction thing helps.
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
That said, though, I kind of wish it was, because the actor playing his son was kind of dreadful.
He had no gravitas whatsoever.
He didn't. He was really
So,
bad.
say what you want about Manu Bennett, but at least he seemed angry.
Shadow!
Yeah, okay. He wasn't amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Shadow!
Compared to this guy, though, like you could just give him awards in comparison.
I think the difference is that he had presence.
Yeah,
He had a big face. He kind of walked in the room and he was a big guy in the room.
he had a bit of a swagger to him as well.
Yeah, yeah. So that whole side of things. I mean, John Diggle's son. Don't care.
Why? It's just for the sake of tying it into all this father nonsense going on in Arrow at the minute.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it felt like. It felt like an extension of Arrow's. This whole season with Arrow has been about fathers.
And the problem is as well is I agreed with Rip when Sarah's like, "Oh, we need to go save young Green Arrow." I'm like, "But you're going to go back and erase all this anyway, so it
Yeah,
doesn't matter."
just save him by not letting it happen in the first place.
So I was totally on Rip's side. I'm like, "This is pointless. You're going to change all this. Doesn't matter."
Yeah.
So yeah, this episode was actually kind of disappointing in a lot of ways. There's a few fun things here or there. Actually, my favourite part of the episode, and this feels weird to say this out loud, was the potential love triangle that they were playing with.
I liked bits of it. I didn't like others.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I liked the whole thing, but honestly, because first of all, it's not a thing going forward. It was a one episode thing which they neatly tied up. So that's
Yeah, and I think my favourite bit was the ending.
My
Like
favourite,
where,
my favourite part was actually the very ending when Gideon's about to mention it.
that's true. No, mine's the bit before when Ray and Jax
Yes.
when they're talking and they got like that friendly rivalry. Like I like that.
Yeah, because that made it feel more like a real thing. Because before it actually almost, I don't want to say sexist, but kind of like, it was like very, she's the object, the prize,
Yeah,
and
it did.
and they're both like fighting over, and but when they actually had like a bit of a friendly chuckle about it, it felt a bit more, oh well, okay, it's not as thingy as that. So I
Yeah.
also like that she shot them down, and then I like the Gideon joke at the end, because that, for me, the love triangle stuff in Arrow, and it happens a little bit in Flash, but definitely more so in Arrow. I hate love triangles like eternally. I think they're so overused. But this actually, the whole point of this was just to have a bit of fun. Like they were actually joking about it. It was lighthearted, and because
I was a little bit worried at first. I'll be honest.
yeah, I was a little bit worried at first, but I loosened up when like this. As soon as we started getting the fact that Stein could feel it,
The
because they're
psychic
connected.
bond thing was
Yeah.
pretty good. I
Yeah.
like the
Tho-
use of that.
Yeah, those parts were pretty good. Like, so they had fun with it. So I had fun with that stuff.
And like Stein making it worse.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, like when he comes in, and
For the
he's like,
record, he is the ultimate cockblock.
yeah, he cock blocked both of them. I actually really because I liked when Jax is like, wait a minute, what have you done? What have you done? You feel anxious and nervous. What have you done?
And he's like, "It was only in your best interest. What did you do?"
So there was fun stuff to be had and here or there, but I think overall the episode was kind of weak, and I think most of the cold and heatwave stuff. I mean, I like that they're trying to build Cold up as actually wanting to be a bit of
more
a
of a
hero.
moral person.
Yeah. Because he's meant to be more. He's not like an outright villain necessarily, and he should be a bit more. Yeah, he'll steal and do all that sort of stuff, but
He's not going to go killing randoms.
yeah. That said, all the stuff with them and like the bar and stuff with all these people, and Heatwave thinks he's got minions now. Like,
I really enjoyed it right up until where he took control of the gang. That bit was fine, and then as soon as they were in the bar onwards, it started
Yeah.
feeling off. But when when he's like when the guy's there and he
was funny,
punches
yeah.
him, he's like, "That's not going to work." And just shoots him with the heat gun. We actually see him on fire for the first time in the show.
yeah, well, that was even the line because it made me laugh. It was more like, on the other hand, or it says something like that, and then he shot him in fire. That did make me laugh, but everything after that was pretty meh.
Yeah.
It felt goofy. It felt like cheap. We're in the future. You know, Mad Max sort of knockoff style. Everyone's
Well,
just
it was
kind of.
such a Mad Max knockoff. I was thinking that while I was watching it. I was like, this is weird.
But not even a good Mad Max knockoff, because there's such a thing as a good Mad Max knockoff, and this I don't
I
think.
will agree. I mean, there was one just last year.
Was there?
Turbo Kid.
Oh,
That's,
right, yeah.
that's a Mad Max knockoff. Let's be honest.
Yeah, kinda. I wouldn't say that's a knockoff. There's a lot. When I say knockoff, there's a lot of. See, if you go back to the 80s, there is literally like shit tons of movies that are just Mad Max with different names.
Okay, yeah.
Turbo Kid actually had its own thing sort of going for it, and it was.
It did, but it was for a long time. It felt like Mad Max, just with a twist.
A twist that made sense because there really shouldn't be any gasoline.
It's a good point. What I don't get is, specifically to get this back to Legends of Tomorrow, where the hell were they all getting the food from? Where the hell's everyone else? All these gangs just running around the streets.
And is the rest of the planet okay? Like, is the
Yeah,
rest of the
why
country
hell,
okay?
Why the hell did the government not just send in the army and go, "Fuck you, we're having this city back"?
Yeah. So is it apocalyptic everywhere, or is it just Star City?
But it can't have been, because Rip was just like, "Nah, we've got to worry about more than one city. We're worried about the world." But it's like, well, this feels like the entire world should be like this.
Also, Oliver says that Felicity left after shit went down, so she's apparently okay somewhere else.
Yeah, she walked off.
Yeah, she walked away. She's walking around somewhere else. Or maybe not. She'll be in her mid-60s. Maybe she's back in a wheelchair.
Just like one of those, like those trolley things that they shuffle along on with the four legs, like a crutch. But I can't think what they're called.
I can't remember what they're called either, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, this was. I dare say this was the weakest episode so far.
I agree, and I know how we said last week, and we've said it a few times now. We thought 2 episodes per time zone was the perfect amount. I'm so glad this moved on after 1.
Yeah, I'm really glad it moved on.
I'm starting to think that this show might just be better going to the past and not the future.
I think the future can be fun, but I think the problem with this is that everything was just so tied to Arrow, and it was trying to be so connected to everything that it faltered. I think if it goes to a future where it's like a completely different place and it's just
Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with any of them, sure, but I don't feel like they're going to do that. I feel like if they're going to go to the future, they're going to feel like they have to tie in.
I think the problem is though is that this episode forgot that they're supposed to be having fun, other than the subplot about the love triangle.
Yeah.
It was verging onto the melodrama of Arrow, which is the main problem. But we're out of that now, so hopefully we're back on track to have fun again next week. I will say though, I mean, I have to say, I enjoyed the last 2 episodes, but it is kind of noticeable how the fun spark of the first 2 has been kind of missing.
I'm not sure if it's to do with the writing. I feel like it might be the director.
It's
They got in a good director to do those first 2, and whatever he did, the others just can't quite emulate.
Possibly, but it's not even just direction. Like the character of Sarah, for a start, first 2 episodes she was really fun, and I really liked her in those 2 episodes. And ever since, she's been kind of just back to being Sarah from Arrow.
Yeah, it's just I don't get it. It's not living up to the promise of the first 2.
Not so far. I mean, don't get me wrong. 4 and 5 were pretty decent,
Oh,
pretty
they were
good.
definitely solid and well worth it.
But I mean, after the first 2 episodes, I was thinking, oh, you know what, this could end up being better than Flash if it keeps on this track. And now I'm like, no, Flash is definitely better.
I agree.
That's not
Unless
crazy.
this pulls it out of the bag and turns it around.
Well,
somehow.
I mean, we've got another 10 episodes, so who knows what's in store.
It's true. There's still time for us to have more great episodes than we've had weaker ones.
There is, and you know, don't get me wrong, I'm nowhere near like Arrow levels with this by any means, but it's just this one is very Arrow.
Yeah, just.
And you were arguing with me last week that it felt more Arrow.
Well, yeah. Last week I meant the tone felt more Arrow. This just felt like everything was Arrow. Like they took all of the plots from Arrow and all the themes and just went, you know what? Let's mash them all into one future episode and it'll be amazing. And then it was just not.
Yeah, so weakest episode so far, kind of disappointing. Hopefully we're back on track with 7, which I believe is next week, because while all the other CW shows are taking a month-long break, I don't think this one is.
Not as far as I'm aware.
I mean, we could be wrong, so if we're not here next week, it's because there's been no episode. But I think this is going continuously, because it only started after Christmas. So, yeah, so that's this week's Legends of Tomorrow. Star City 2046.